This is Stock Day. News and interviews from the microcap world. Public information on the OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, we have a very exciting guest with us. He is Keith Wright. He is the CEO of Ambient Water Corporation, trading under the ticker symbol AWGI. Ambient Water is a pioneer atmosphere water generation technology. What it does is it extracts water from the humidity and then purifies it, and therefore you got drinking water. Keith, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having us on. Nice to spend some time with you.
Give us a little bit more of a rundown of your company and the history of Ambient Water, and we'll start there.
Sure, Everett. I'll be happy to do that. Well, I'm the original founder of the company. I began actually investigating atmospheric water generation back in the 1990s, and so embarked upon that project myself, and spent probably, I would say, close to 10 years to perfect the technology. And so that took quite some time. It's one thing to make water in abundance from these devices, but it's quite another thing to keep it clean so it's fit for human consumption. So I was able to figure that out and successfully file many different patents around the processes that we use. And from that point, then I endeavored to commercialize the technology both from a residential to a commercial applications. And so I spent several years flying around the globe looking for suitable partners to manufacture product for us. And since then have successfully set up manufacturing in South Korea with a JV partner that manufactures what we call the M2500, or in some cases the R2500, which is a small little residential unit that produces about 4 to 5 gallons a day, depending on temperature and humidity. Then in the U.S., we've JV'd with a company in Michigan that manufactures for us a commercial unit that we call the AW400. And basically the AW400 in that series goes from 25 tons of cooling, that's in a BTU load, all the way up to about 130 tons of cooling. So from a layman's terms, those units produce from about 600 gallons a day all the way up to 2,000 to 3,000 gallons per day, depending on temperature and humidity. And interesting design behind those ones is they provide air conditioning at the same time they provide water. And just recently, we've embarked upon a new product line that is being right now prototyped, or pre-production rather, in Houston, Texas. And these ones are from 800 gallons of condensate or water per day, all the way up to 20,000 gallons of water per day. And those ones don't air condition; they're just bare bones water maker. And the platform for those ones is in a container format. So they come in a 20-foot container, as in the case of the AW800, all the way up to a 53-foot container, as the case of the AW20K that does 20,000 gallons a day, Everett. So that's a brief overview on what we do as a company.
Let me ask you about the AW400, if you don't mind. How long does it take you to build one of those? What's the cost? And what countries are suitable to have one of these? I understand that you need some humidity in the air. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Some good questions. We can turn those things around rather quickly, depending on what's slated in on the assembly line in Michigan. And so we can get them out the door in a 6 to 12 week period. It really depends what we have in front when we accept the purchase order. And those units are suitable for pretty much anywhere between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. So north and south of the equator, that's the humidity belt around the world, and that's our sweet spot for making water from the atmosphere. That doesn't leave out, though, coastal regions, such as in the Middle East, the MENA region, where we're situated on the coast, For instance, Abu Dhabi is one location that is ideal. Dubai is ideal. They're situated close to the coast. They have high humidity, and so we can make water there as well.
And what's the cost of a AW400 for commercial application?
Those are about $93,000, depending on the configuration for the customer.
Now, water has been a problem out in California for many, many years. And do you talk to any government there, being, local, city, municipalities? Take me through the cornerstone of that as if you guys are reaching out to California and their drought situation.
Yeah. Yes, we've done some work in California. We displayed the AW400 actually on the front lawn of the state legislature in Sacramento last year, and so exposed some of the decision makers and policy makers to this technology and the availability of the technology. And since then, there's several interested entities within the state that are taking a serious look at atmospheric water as a replacement for the water problems that are being experienced right now through the drought in California.
Would you consider your product a new paradigm shift in that industry?
We do. We look at it as, for instance, when the first microwave oven came on the market, people were not aware of it. There was some time lag before it reached market acceptance, and then when it reached market acceptance, another methodology to cook food, it took off. And we feel that we're right on the crest of that scenario taking place now, where the world will begin to adopt. There'll be first adopters of the technology, same as there was with microwave ovens. And from there, it'll just take off throughout the whole globe. And that's our long-term vision.
My guest today is Keith Wright. He is the CEO of Ambient Water Corporation, trading under the ticker symbol AWGI. Keith, tell us a little bit more about some of the current products and some of the ones that you have on the blueprints that you're going to bring up. Let's get more into a little bit of the residential. I can't afford the $90,000 one that you have for commercial, but I might be able to afford maybe one of the residential ones that could put out, 4 to 5 gallons a day. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, we have the residential model available, and it's really the Cadillac of what we feel of the air-water generators in a residential application. And so we've worked with that particular model for quite some time, and it's been a good model for us. It's a great ambassador, we find, for large corporations or government officials, for instance, that are looking at this technology as a viable solution. We can easily put one on a plane and have it shipped over to them. They can use it, they can drink the water, they can make the water. So it's a great proof of concept, it's a great ambassador, and has served us well throughout the years in the residential application.
So our office, we have a water spigot, if you will, that comes in. We do a reverse osmosis, and you're telling me I could put one of those in my office, not hooked up to anything, and it's going to draw the water or the humidity out of the air and give us 4 to 5 gallons a day?
Absolutely. As long as we have sufficient humidity and sufficient temperature, we can produce that much water. They're operating in the Philippines, and as you can well imagine, the humidity and temperature are high in the Philippines, and those residential units are usually full within a day from the point they've been emptied out. So again, we're incumbent upon, or reliant rather, upon temperature and humidity to produce the water. So in an office environment, if we have, say, 80% or 70% humidity and 70 or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, the units are going to perform well.
The future for the atmospheric water generation, tell me the future of that, and maybe talk a little bit about last year's sales compared to possibly this year's sales for ambient water.
Yeah, we see the future. We've shifted gears as a company a short time ago to commercial industrial applications. And so what we're finding now in the commercial industrial segment, even though the sales cycle is longer because we're dealing with decision makers and government budgets and corporate budgets, and so the sales cycle is longer, but what we're finding is that there's been a lot of interest in this technology as a option and or a replacement for bulk water supplies for instance, for governments. So, the phone is ringing where we're getting government officials concerned about desalination. Many of them don't want to use desalination anymore, so they're inquiring about atmospheric water to replace desalination plants. And so that's a great application of what we can do. Other inquiries that we get are for agricultural use, for instance. So where they don't have any water available to grow their produce and their food, or they're out of water, these, again, are a great fit for those applications.
My guest today is Keith Wright. He is the CEO of Ambient Water Corporation, trading under the ticker symbol AWGI. In closing, Keith, is there anything you would like to touch upon and get it out to my listeners that you and I did not get a chance to touch on?
Yeah, we would encourage all your listeners to that are interested in water and the looming global water crisis that's about to hit us to educate themselves on atmospheric water and make it a part of something that they would include in their future plans if they're in the water business or they're just looking for drinking water, water security. We would be the company they want to look at.
My guest today has been Keith Wright. He is the CEO of Ambient Water. Keith, thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll check back with you in a couple of months.
Thanks, Everett. Nice to talk today.
You got it.